Hello, I'm David DeCosmo. Welcome to ECTV Live. I'm joined, as I am weekly, by my co-host, Rusty Fender. Rusty?
Good to see you
welcome.
back from your Austrian vacation.
It was tremendous.
Life is tough for the working folks, David. Glad you had a good time.
Yes. One of the folks on our trip had a chance to be interviewed by a local station over there and had to give it up because he didn't speak German. So, so I lost.
No English translation.
Lost that 15 seconds of fame. We'd like to give more than 15 seconds of fame to John Gleason. John joins us regularly.
Hi, John.
In the fall of the year because John is with the Keystone Mission, which is an organization that's set up to help homeless people in our area. And unfortunately, some of those numbers of the homeless have grown. We do bring him in the fall because everyone knows that as the temperatures go down, the needs of those folks in trouble go up. But we started something new last year by having you come around now.
Yes.
Because this is the time of year when people don't think about the mission. And your needs don't stop, do they?
Exactly. And what you just said, that the needs increase, I'm not 100% sure that that's completely true. It is in our minds, there's no question. When the weather gets cold, we automatically think, when we're putting a blanket on our bed that, oh, well, someone doesn't have a blanket. Yeah. But the things that happen now is once it gets warm, and particularly the month we just came off with all of the rain, well, think about it. If you're sleeping in the snow, you can brush it off and you can put cold stuff on. But if you're sleeping in the rain, and the trees are dripping on you and everything else is dripping, what do you do? Your clothes are soaked, your bedroll is soaked. Wherever you go, you're not walking through snow where you can brush it off your shoes and your feet. You're soaked literally to the bone because it's going through your sneakers and in through your socks and the like.
And that's for the rest of your day.
Yeah, so there's an element that, we all do it. But we sort of have a misinterpretation of, summer is okay and winter is really bad.
However, they had it, the folks who were homeless had it, and you have to look at the small things and be thankful, but they had a couple of good winters. The mildest winter ever
that's
2
true.
years ago, and the
Yes.
second mildest last one. You got to be thankful for the little things, John.
Absolutely, yes. And we're thankful always, because of the amount of people that, care for us as a mission as we care for those who, in some cases can't care for themselves. But I think one of the items that we'd like to communicate maybe better is that just because it's summer, homeless is homeless. If you don't have a place to go and lay down or sleep, or it's under a cardboard box or a tent or a bridge, it's the same all year long. And when it's 90, in another month or two from now for, 6 or 8 days, and it's raining, well, okay, you don't need to carry your coat around and the like, but it adds a different element. Because there again, all of those things that you have been carrying, well, now you don't have a place to leave it. So for the most part, it ends up being trashed. But if it's raining, or now in spring, where we've got the cold nights and the hot days, there's dew on the ground almost every single night. Well, that dew on the ground means that you're sleeping in wet conditions that in some cases are worse than sleeping on snow.
Oh.
So that's one of the areas that we're looking at trying to communicate better, because we have a need. There's no question that once school starts and once the weather starts changing, people get all excited. The holidays also help because everyone's thinking of someone else. But as summer comes, we sort of think of, we're going to get the grill out, we're going to go to the lake, we're going to do all these things, because it's vacation time and the kids aren't in school. But our clientele, not much of that is true. It's not vacation time. It's still the same thing on the street. And to some degree, and the same thing, even if you're not on the street, if, you're in a project and there's more month than there is money, well, it doesn't change if that's July or December. When there's more to life than what you're receiving, it's still a difficult time. And one of the things that happens with us is that we are not thought of, and I guess maybe because the homeless and those in need aren't thought of quite as much as in the winter time. But the needs are still there. Realistically, the food, the meals that we provide, the clothing that we provide, the food shopping that our guests can do, it really doesn't change 12 months. The needs are pretty much the same throughout the year. Now the items may change. You know, we need coats and gloves and socks in the wintertime. Summertime we need the socks, and maybe instead of the coats and the gloves, we need 3 or 4 times as many bedrolls because it's so wet that once your bedroll is wet, where are you going? You know, they don't have a clothes dryer, or in some cases, no place to hang it, and
the humidity is a moot point at that point.
Yeah. Now, I've been through some really big cities right here in our country, and I've seen a homeless situation that is eye-opening. You're walking down one of the main streets, and you see people that are they've got a cardboard over them. But you know, this is Scranton, Pennsylvania. This is Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Are there really a lot of people in this kind of need?
Well, I think the best example I have of that is currently we're looking for a larger facility. So we don't have an emergency shelter. Emergency shelter meaning you come in at night and you have to leave in the morning. It's just an overnight bed. But we ran one a couple of years ago in Scranton. And the government has what they call a point-in-time count, where in January every year they go out and they try to count the homeless communities around the country to come up with some kind of number as how many people are actually homeless. And I honestly forget the statistic, but it was either 269 or 289 in Lackawanna County was the number a couple of years ago. Well, that particular year, we were running an overnight shelter, and we weren't alone. There were other shelters in the city, but our shelter alone had 302 unique individuals that went through our facility. But yet the number was
not
less. It was,
yeah.
no, not even close. So to some degree, that number was at least 3 or 4 times off of what the real number is.
And I know in the Wilkes-Barre area, the late Vince Kapuscinski used to run a mission down there where they actually recruited various churches to provide shelters. And he has since passed away. I believe the Catholic Social Services has taken over that role. Now, the Keystone Mission also has a unit in Wilkes-Barre.
Yes, in Wilkes-Barre we actually have what we call a long-term men's residential addiction recovery program, where men who have had an addiction problem of whatever it might be, or just got themselves into a situation where they've crashed and there's nothing left, they can come and live with us from 3 to 12 months, and we have it for free. And we have a program where, because we're a faith-based organization, we believe that there's something larger than we are that helps us get through all these things. But in addition to that, we then also teach life skills, teach them how to cook, how to shop. We have different organizations that will come in and teach some trade skills and things like that, financial planning, so that when they leave, they're in a position to be able to go back into the workforce with some kind of trade. We have arrangements with a couple of other nonprofits where we go and work on facilities and things like that that helps them, and it helps our guys, you know, also get some element of training. We have one camp in particular in Stroudsburg where at a certain level, if an individual is interested, they can go out and work the whole summer and then actually get a culinary certificate, so that, you know, if they move on, they can go to somewhere and show that they've got 3 or 4 months worth of cooking experience. And then at that point, part of the program is once they've graduated, they can stay a little bit longer, again, so that their housing is for free while they get a job, so that they can escrow some money to have that security deposit and things like that when they get back out into the workforce.
You know, you get immune. It's a sad word. You get immune to the plight of these people. Myself, working in New York City for 20 years, it's disheartening because you literally step over them in New York City. You know, myself working for CBS and NBC and AT&T at the former World Trade Center, I'd be on call for engineering at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was surreal. But you can't stop and help everybody else out, or you'd be on food stamps yourself. But you know, I used this story a couple of years ago. I had one of these times I had tires put on, the local tire place here on Wyoming Avenue, and I took a walk because it was going to take like an hour or so to get the tires on. So I took a walk over the Olive Street Bridge, the railroad bridge. And I stumbled onto, I guess, one of the largest hobo jungles It was like a Hollywood
Yeah.
set. I could not believe that. Now, I know that has since been disbanded above the railroad area behind the former A&P Bakery at Olive and
Yes,
Vine.
yeah.
But that was unbelievable. Campfires burning in the
Yes.
daytime, littered with beer cans and alcohol bottles, which, again, is the unfortunate plight of a lot of those people
Yeah.
as well, John.
Yeah. It's a coping mechanism to hide what we're dealing
Exactly.
with. Not necessarily a good one, but it is indeed a coping mechanism. But yes, and actually that's where we are. We're on the river, on the tracks, on Olive Street. And there are some, not like you're talking about, because those have been bulldozed out, but there are still some individuals in both directions, under the bridges and in the woods for protection that still live there.
When it comes to thinking about this problem, there's another issue that comes up, because in Luzerne County, at least, they've had some folks that are out there soliciting,
Yes.
homeless, need a meal, please help, et cetera, et cetera. And in several cases, these individuals have been found to be dishonest, that they that's their daily work, and then they go to their car and they drive away and go to their
Exactly
home.
right.
Yes.
Well, then you have a mindset that can be created of, well, they're all like this,
And
Yes.
that is,
Yes.
it's the will work for food mindset now, that it's the entrance to every Kmart, McDonald's, and Burger King in the area will work for food, someone with an A-frame banner on them. And you get immune to that as well, and you
Yeah,
take a bad back seat to that.
Yeah, which doesn't help your situation.
Exactly.
No, it doesn't. But it doesn't help on one hand in the mindset. But the other side of it is we do this all the time. So we are dealing with individuals that are in need all the time, and we are a safe place for them. And then we also, do things in a structured manner so that we deal with the circumstances the best we can to help them. So the advantage with that mindset is you don't need to deal with it on an individual basis or find out that someone scammed you, because if you come to us, we can be the buffer. If you help us in whatever form it might be, whether it's financially, whether it's a skill set that you can help us
Well,
with.
you've also done the research ahead of time, which is a good thing.
Yeah. So the people that are coming to us, we're dealing with them. We have paid and trained staff to deal with them. So on one hand, it's a travesty and it hurts the whole, I hate the word business, but on the other hand, this is what we do, and we do it. Honestly, we do it because we believe that God tells us that that's what we should do,
Right.
And to help those that in some cases can't help themselves or just need they can but not quite.
Sure.
They need a step up.
Now, in the case of, and you mentioned the Wilkes-Barre program with retraining and life skills and
Right.
things, I would think it's tough to measure the success of something like that unless you have someone that goes out and winds up coming back in. Are you able to judge how productive the services have been?
To some degree, yes. We've had individuals. We have across the board. I mean, we've had individuals come into the program that don't stay. It's a voluntary program, and unless you've come to a place where you're willing to have someone else try to restructure your life, sometimes you don't like it, so you don't stay. On the other hand, we've had people stay through the program that we've actually employed ourselves because they saw what we did and they wanted to continue that with another individual. We've had individuals at this camp I'm talking about that have become employed at the camp.
Oh, okay.
We had a fellow recently that graduated that went to work for one of the hotels and restaurants because of being able to cook. Now, we also have individuals who've been here and they're from out of the area, so once they've come out of the program and they feel refreshed and clean and ready to go, they move back to wherever their family is. And at that point, we have a hard time.
Sure.
They were
measuring.
transient to begin with.
Yeah, so we have a harder time measuring that. But those who stay in the area, we have, We have better than a 50-50, percentage as far as those that graduate and continue. Now, we've also had those that graduate, they get a job, and, back into the routine, and, the trigger points are then poked again from the workforce, and in cases they've come back a second time. But, again, they have the ability to come back, and we try to embrace them and help them through that again and move forward.
Is there a coveted item you need most besides volunteers?
Well, this is going to sound so crass, but finances are always a good thing.
Cash is king.
Well, because at that point, the advantage for us with that is that whatever the need is, because it moves all the time, we have the ability to meet the need.
Sure.
We're so thankful. Stamp Out Hunger just recently with the post office. Well, we were super blessed that we received about 10,000 pounds of food.
Oh, wow.
From that drive. Well,
that was the canned drive where you leave, right?
So what that means to us is about 4 to 5 months worth of food that we can, provide to people in need.
Sure.
So, there is always a need for non-perishable food. There is always a need for socks. Bedrolls, something again that isn't we don't receive that much of, but it's an ongoing need, is feminine hygiene products. Just because you're on the street, like life continues, and that's one of those where not many people think of that as an item to drop off. We get toothpaste, Anybody that travels, we get all the little, which is wonderful, the single-use
shaving cream,
because again, a person on the street doesn't want to carry a, toothpaste this big or mouthwash this. They want those little bottles. So those are, again, they're great for us, and they're super handy. We try to put a little package together with each bedroll of that kind of thing. Yeah. So those are always in need. And then honestly, the other part is we're looking for a building. I would love to meet someone, who has property that might be advantageous for us, that gives us some more warehouse space, gives us the ability to do an overnight shelter. I would really like to be ready, not for this particular winter, but the following winter, that we would be able to do that and house, because there's always a need for that. And then just trades. The buildings, they're buildings. There's always something that we're looking to do, or put a door here, or move a window, or something like that, that someone that has a few hours, most of the time we can live with whatever that schedule is. So if you can't come for a week or 10 days, well, tell us when you can, and we'll have the area ready.
Even for maintenance.
Yeah, have somebody come in and help us, to do, just maintain the facilities.
I must say you've tackled so many obstacles, and as you talk about a larger building of things, I go back to the day when I discovered at that time, the Keystone Rescue Mission was going to set up on Olive Street.
Yes.
And of course, you had the typical reaction from neighbors who think that it's a fine thing to have, as long as it's not next to me. I guess that's just a reality you deal with.
Yeah, and honestly, where we're looking for buildings, are primarily in Scranton and in the commercial area for that reason.
Yes.
And
it's
actually,
a good thought.
Yes, where we're located within 6 blocks, there are so many resources that are available from other county organizations and the like. So it's really handy, for those that are walking most of the time. A few of them have bicycles, but in addition to that, with our homeless and those in need, something else that we've recently added in Wilkes-Barre is an after-school youth program. We're surrounded with fences that border us between Sherman Hills and interfaith housing projects. So there are hundreds and hundreds of children. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoons from 3 to 5, we have an elementary school age after-school program for kids to come in, and it's decidedly a faith-based program. But the kids come in and they have some time, they get refreshments and the like, and we typically have either a picnic, or sometimes it's a picnic, meaning that we have something in the summer for the kids that attend. A carnival is more for the general public, outside of our building. where we would invite all of the neighborhood from the apartment complexes to come in and, bounce house, and we cook hamburgers and hot dogs and things like that. Just again to be an outreach to the community that we're not just a hidden building in the middle of this. We are actually here as a resource for the community, and hopefully that we can help them.
It's also affect the life that a lot of these folks don't want to be helped as well. I know that when I go back to working in New York, I go back to Ed Koch and Giuliani back in the
Yes.
late 70s and 80s, and they would, if the temperature dropped below 10 degrees Fahrenheit at night, they would go and literally pick these people up, and they would get into literal brawls
Yes.
of the people who wanted. Is it the same? Are people alike all over?
Yes. I think the primary difference is our numbers are so much smaller than New York,
Sure.
so it's truly a minority. I mean, I had a policeman telling me about a situation where on a code blue, they're going around trying to
That's
pick
correct,
up,
the
and
code
there was a fella, and he said, come on. He says, I'm good. He says, I don't want to, and he says, no, but it's going to be cold, and now this particular individual, he was there because he chose to be there. He wanted to.
Are they
be
afraid
there.
they're going to lose their turf, John?
Well,
Is that the deal?
In that particular case, this guy actually was on the street because he just didn't want to be around people. He actually had money in the bank, and his comment was, look, if I'm that cold, I'll go to a hotel, I can afford it. Now, so now I truly believe he's the exception.
Sure, no doubt.
But sometimes, there's an element within, those on the street that have, they're on different medications, and if they're not working, they don't like being around other people. And I think all of us can sort of agree with that some days.
I'm in the lead on that one.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
There's certain days that we don't want to be around.
I'd like to go on a vacation by myself for about a month. You're not kidding.
So in a case like that, I think, again, it's just, we know as individuals what we can handle. So an individual like that says, look, I don't want to go, they don't want to go for whatever reasons they are. So at that point, and it may very well strictly be, I'm an independent person and I don't want anybody telling me what to do, so I'm not going to do it.
You're right. I don't want a handout.
No, I don't really think that they're looking to freeze to death. I think that they've already figured out what they're going to do, and they just don't want to be in a room, because honestly, on a cold blue night, there's going to be a 50% bump on the individuals in that same space.
Sure.
The space typically holds 35 or 40.
You're
and
going
all
to
of a
double
sudden,
that.
Yeah, you've got 50, 60, 70.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, you may not want to be there. And so, the issue with always is try to respect the individual, even when we may think that they're making an improper decision. How many times are we accused of making an improper decision, but we knew full well what we were doing?
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
Again, our goal is to try to meet an individual, where they are. And honestly, our core values are to create relationships, establish relationships, so that we can build trust to pursue a life change.
Now, you do need the community's help in
Always.
doing this,
Yes.
and again, summer is no exception. Church where I am a member provides one meal per month. And we go down, and someone from the church cooks. And ironically, my granddaughter, who is a rainbow girl, that organization had it about a week ago, and they provided the meal. But one of the things that shocked me was when you see how many churches are in our area, in Luzerne, Lackawanna, and they can't get a church to provide every night. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, well, but so, I mean,
He's right, with all the denominations.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, some of it may very well be exactly what we're doing here. Communicating
Letting
the need.
people know the
because
needs there,
sometimes
yeah.
it's not. It wasn't a choice. It was that they just flat out weren't aware. And even though we're a faith-based organization, the thing that's been growing that we're really excited about is a lot of companies have now taken us on, as a particular work group. Maybe half a dozen people that work at a bank office, and they decide that one night that because they're going to come out and help us to meet the needs of those in need. And in some cases bring their, fourth grade and up type of age children, so that they're exposed to an element of society that most of us aren't exposed
So
to.
you get help in a couple different ways there. And as you know, we had a check presentation right here. We have a gentleman that has a Christmas display where he takes donations and gives the donations to charities, one of which is Keystone Mission.
Yes.
So that's
And the good thing is there's strength not only in numbers, but there's strength in seniority. You do this for a decade or plus, it's better than just this startup, which nobody has any credence in until you get established.
Right.
That's the good part about this.
Yes, and we've been around since 2005. And, you know, the difficulty we have now is that we are growing out of the facility because the need is growing, and we don't have any more room in the building.
Well, in the minute we have left, then let's actually address the audience. And if someone wants to help, be it volunteer time, be it help to serve food, maybe make some of those bedrolls you've talked about and things, how can they get in touch with you folks to offer their help or to find out what they might be able to do?
Our phone number is 570-871-4795. Extension 1 would be our volunteer coordinator, and she can explain all of those opportunities. Our website is keystonemission.org, and there it explains most of the services that we provide, and naturally there's a donate button on there that if you wanted to give online, the opportunity to do that from the website exists 24 hours a day. We would invite individuals to come and visit so that you can actually see the facility, see what we do, you know, meet some of the staff. And in the day now in Scranton, we're open at 8 o'clock every morning, so we're open as a day room now so that individuals can come in off the street and get something hot or cold to drink and some snacks. You know, we're near St. Francis so that they go there for lunch. We don't actually serve lunch, but
It's close at hand.
it's a block away, so that, but in the meantime, they can come in and watch the news on TV. They can check the job listings and the like, or just literally get off the street and some cases take a nap. You
Well,
know?
thanks for explaining that the
Good
need
luck, John.
doesn't stop, you know, with cold
summer,
weather.
yes.
And summertime, the need is there as well. John Gleason from Keystone Mission, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you back in the fall, I'm sure.
Okay.
So, Rusty Fender, thank you.
Rest up from that vacation,
Oh,
David,
my
huh?
goodness. Mark McGlory, thanks for keeping us
Thanks,
in
Mark.
focus. I'm kind of in and out. Got some personal things that we're trying to deal with right now. So, until I see you again next time, here's hoping all your news is good.